How new leaders access the declaration form. Visit our website, that is www.igg.go.ug. On the right hand side of the screen, click Declaration. Scroll down until you see self-registration. Click on that button. Select your institution. Put in your surname, other name, job title, IT, email address, dmahanguzi@igg.go.ug. Your phone number has to start with +256 7011333495. Your national ID number, and submit. Yes, your information has been successfully submitted and will be considered upon verification by your accounting officer. Therefore, if you're a new leader, your accounting officer has to verify your information before we add you to the system in order for you to be able to access the declaration form. How do you get help when you are stuck during the process of declaration? Visit our website, that is www.igg.go.ug. On the right hand side of the screen, under Action Center, click Declaration. Scroll down until you see the Service Request button. Click on it. Tell us any issue that you're facing. If you have issues with tokens, you can choose submission or login token. If you have issues with invitation, you can click on invitation. Or if you have any other issue that is not mentioned in this drop down menu, click Other. In this case, I'll type, I have not received any password reset link. Surname, Mahanguzi. Other names, Daniel, job title, IT, email address, phone number, national ID number, and I'll click Submit. Your information has been successfully submitted and you will be contacted shortly. Please keep your mobile phone active for ease of communication. You should note your SR number. This is what we'll use to contact us just in case your issue has not been resolved successfully. How to fill in the form if you've stopped halfway and you want to get back to where you had stopped. Visit our website, that is www.igg.go.ug. On the right hand side of the screen, under Action Center, click Declaration. Click Login to declare. Put in your IG-ODS number and password. Then put in your login token. Then you will access the dashboard. Under the dashboard, there is certain information that you need to take note of. Your previous declarations. This shows that this user started in 2021, also started in 2019, but they never submitted. If you have submitted, this started will be submission. There's also your IG-ODS number and your name. There are 3 types of declaration. There is the biannual declaration, that is every 2 years. It's for continuing leaders who have been declaring every 2 years and are required to declare. The second bit is for new leaders. This new leaders section is for leaders who have been newly appointed, they've never declared before. Then there is the exit declaration. It's for leaders who have left the leadership position and are required to fill their last declaration. In this case, I'll click on Start Continue under the biannual declaration.
To fill the form, you have to fill all sections of the form correctly. You have to visit each section, and under each section, look at every subsection and fill in your details as necessary. The sections are indicated on the left side of the screen. and their personal information, financial accounts, assets, liabilities and indebtedness, other incomes, confirmation, preview, and submit. This page we are on is the first page, which is personal information. And under this page we have biodata, current and previous employment records, spouses, children, and dependents. The first subsection is biodata, and to edit biodata, you click on Edit Personal Details. The form for editing personal details will be shown, and here you can fill in the fields as you can see. Surname and other names, email, and telephone contacts are not available for edit as they were provided by your institution and can only be changed by sending a request through your focal person or by contacting the IG. You can, however, add an alternative contact that can be used to contact you in case the telephone contact provided by your institution is not available. Enter your national ID in the correct format. Enter your TIN number in the correct format. Choose your marital status from married, single, divorced, separated, widowed, other. Select your gender. For citizenship, click and start typing, and then select an option. Enter your date of birth in the format indicated. But for all date fields, you can use a date picker. When you click the small box to the right of the field, you get a date picker, which allows you to pick the year, the month, and the day. You also have to provide the place of birth, in brackets origin, the location where your ancestors came from. So that is either your village or LC1 where your ancestors came from. And like the other field, you click and start typing, and then you choose from the list. If your place of birth is not included in the list, enter by typing that other place of birth. After, you need to enter your current postal and physical address. All forms have validation inbuilt in that when you enter the wrong information, the form will indicate that there is an error in such a section. For example, with a wrong TIN number, you will see that that field will be marked as erroneous. Also, the Save button will not be available if you do not fill a section correctly. And if everything is filled correctly, you should be able to save this information. The next section we have is current and previous employment records, and you're required to have at least a current employment record. Employment records can be added by using either Add Current or Add Previous. We'll add a current employment by clicking that button. Here you search for the name of your institution. If the name of your institution is not included in the name of employer, then you type in the name of employer if other. You specify your rank or title, the nature of employment. You choose from contract or permanent. If you have a contract, you also have to specify the number of years of your contract. If, however, it's permanent, you do not have to specify the number of years. Enter the date you were appointed into that position, or you can choose using the date picker. Then specify your gross salary per annum and allowances per annum. Now, gross salary per annum, the word per annum means per year. So that means that if you have a monthly, you must multiply by 12 to get your gross salary per year. So if you were earning 500,000, then your gross salary per year would be 500,000 times 12, which is 6 million. So that is what you put in that field. Then you select the currency. You also add your allowances per annum, if any. So this one you approximate how much you earn in allowances per year and enter the value there. And then you also specify the currency of the allowances. Now, when we look at these forms, mandatory fields have stars and optional fields do not have stars on them. So allowances per annum is optional if you've specified your gross salary per annum. And there are also scenarios where you don't have a gross salary per annum, but you must at least have allowances. So if you fill the form correctly, you should be able to save, and that information will be added to your declaration. You click Add Current if you have another current employment record to add, and click and add as many current employments as you have. You're also required to add at least one previous employment record. Repeat for as many previous employment records as you have. In the section for spouses, you can add your spouses by clicking the Add Spouse button. In the form, you enter the full name of your spouse, the gender of your spouse, the date of birth if you know it, the occupation, and their national ID number if you know them. In this form, the only mandatory fields are the full name and the gender. So after filling correctly, you should be able to save and add a spouse. If you have previously declared items, they will appear under previous items. And previous items can either be updated or removed. If you need to update an item that was declared previously, you use the update button and make any changes as required. So as you can see, we now have 2 spouses. Now, in case a person stopped being your spouse, you could also remove them. The next section is children and dependents, and you can add children and dependents by clicking Add Child or Dependent and filling the form correctly. When you specify the date of birth of a child, it must be a date of birth that indicates that the child is below the age of 18. And that's when you can choose child. If the date you indicate here is more than 18 years old, there will be an error and this form will not save. So if a person is depending on you and is above 18, then that person should be added as a dependent, irrespective of whether they are your biological children or not. After filling the form correctly, click Save to add that child or dependent. You have options to edit or remove items, and we've already seen how to do that. We can access the next section of the declaration form by clicking on Financial Accounts. Use the Add Personal or Add Jointly Owned or Held in Trust buttons to add new financial accounts. Those are bank accounts that you have. Personal bank accounts, accounts you own solely, while jointly owned accounts or accounts held in trust are accounts you own with somebody else or own on behalf of someone else, like a child. To fill the form for adding a financial account, you click and you will choose your bank. If the name of your bank is not in the drop down, you can type it. Then enter the country by typing and choosing the country where the bank is located, and then enter the branch, names of account holders, the account number, the account type from fixed, current, savings, or other. If you choose other, you specify the account type. Otherwise, you can choose from the other types that are in the drop down. Specify the currency and click Save. That account will be added. For items that were added previously, you can update or remove as the situation demands. We will go to the next section, which is assets. And under assets, we have undeveloped land, developed land, vehicles, businesses, investments in securities, debtors, other assets, cash, and we'll quickly run through some of the fields in the forms. So for undeveloped land, that is land that does not have any developments. That means it does not even have a farm. So it's more like bushland. To add a personal undeveloped land, click Add Personal. To add a jointly owned undeveloped land, click Jointly Owned or Held in Trust. In this case, I'll demonstrate how to add a jointly owned undeveloped land. Click Add Jointly Owned or Held in Trust and you'll get the form. The first section is Details of Joint Owner. Under Details of Joint Owner, you can choose from the drop-down, which may include your children, spouses, and business associates already declared in previous forms. If you cannot find the joint owner in the drop-down, then you type their full names. You also require to type their national ID numbers, separated by commas. Also fill in the details. Under tenure type, you choose the appropriate type from customary, Milo, freehold, leasehold, or other. If your tenure type is other, choose other and you specify the tenure type. If it's customary, you choose customary. If we choose Milo, for example, then we'll have to specify the block number, plot number, folio number, volume number, and the land size and unit. So for this one, you can have 1 hectare or acres, specify the number of acres, decimals, specify the number of decimals, and when it comes to square feet, you can multiply to get the land size. For example, if you have 50 by 100, then that would be 50 times 100 is 5,000 square feet. If your land is in square meters, you do the same as for square feet. You also specify the street or road where that land is located, and this field is optional. Then you enter the details of location. Start with the country, you type and then choose the country. Then the location, you search for the village and then choose the village where that land is located. If the location cannot be found when you search, enter the location if other. Also enter the district as per the land title and the county as per the land title. Then fill in the details of ownership. Type the names of owners. Enter details of acquisition and price by choosing a date, date acquired, the acquisition type, which can be purchased, inherited, donation, allocated, or other. If you choose other, specify the other type of acquisition by typing in this field. If you choose purchased, then you enter the cost at acquisition. If you choose inherited, then you have to enter the names of the decedent and your relationship to the decedent. If it's a donation, you have to specify the name of the donor and the relationship to the donor. If it's allocated, then there is no other option. So we'll take the option of a purchased piece of land. You specify the cost at acquisition and the source of funds for purchasing that land. You also specify usage and income details. Under usage type, you can choose from vacant land, private or personal use, commercial, rent or business, or other. Then you have to specify the income per annum. Per annum, again, means per year. So you specify how much this undeveloped land makes as income for you per year, and specify the currency, and then save. So you can add as many undeveloped land as you have by clicking add personal or add jointly owned as many times until you have all your land declared. We also have a section for developed land, which is land that has either a house, a farm, or some kind of development. The form is mostly similar to the undeveloped land form, but also includes a section for details of development. I will demonstrate that by editing an item that's already declared. We have details of the joint owner, we have details of tenure and size, we have the location, we have details of ownership, details of acquisition and price, and then we have a section for details of development. So you can see that for developed land, we have to specify the nature of developments. We choose the nature of developments, which can be a building, agriculture, forestry, manufacturing, or other. And if it's other, you specify. And if it's a building, you specify what kind of building. If it's agriculture, you specify what crops you're growing. Then you will also have to enter the development cost. How much have you used to develop that land up to the date of declaration? And choose the currency. Specify the date development started and then the date development ended. Enter the source of funds and then fill the rest of the form as we earlier saw with the form for undeveloped land. So if everything is filled correctly, you should be able to save. The next form is for vehicles. And again, we can add vehicles, personal vehicles, jointly owned vehicles. We can update previously declared items or even dispose previously declared items. For vehicles, choose the type of vehicle. If it's other, you specify. Type the make, type the registration number, type the year of manufacture, enter, choose the date it was acquired, fill in the details of acquisition, specify the usage and the income per annum. We've seen how to fill this in the previous forms. So if everything is filled correctly, you'll be able to save and add the vehicle. If you sold the vehicle, you can use dispose and you'll get a disposal form. Here you will specify the date you disposed of this vehicle and the disposal type, which can be sold, donated, or other. In case you sold it, you specify the amount at which you sold it, the currency, and what you used the income for. After filling correctly, you should be able to save, and that asset will be disposed. So you can also add businesses using the business form, and in the business you fill in the details of the business, the location, details of acquisition and price, and also the income from that business per year. After filling correctly, you should be able to save and click and add as many businesses as you have. In case you do not have an item to declare, for example, if you don't have a business to declare, or you have no changes to make since the previous declaration, you can use the checkbox that says I have no updates to indicate that you have no updates. This feature can be used in all subsections of the form. So you click and confirm that you have no updates in an area. You're also required to fill in your investments in securities. You will also have to fill in your debtors. Those are people you've lent money, and you will use the add personal or add jointly owned or held in trust buttons. We also have a section for other assets. In this section, you add any other asset that has not been catered for in the other forms. For example, if you have a maize milling machine or you have a boat, you can add them under other assets. To demonstrate a form, we'll add a personal other asset. You specify the name of the other asset. For example, a boat. Indicate the date acquired and the acquisition, cost at acquisition, source of funds, location, the village, and the income from the boat, and save. We also have to declare cash at home. This is any money you hold at home or in mobile money accounts or informal accounts that you keep at home. So you have to declare amounts above 5 million that are kept at home and not in the formal banks that we have. To add those, click add personal and enter the date you acquired that money, the source of the money. If it's from business, then it's investment. It can be inherited or a donation. If you choose inherited, you will also have to specify the names of the ancestors you inherited from. Or if it's a donation, then you'll also have to specify the donor. If it's other, then you indicate the source of cash if other. The amount must be 5 million or above, and then you specify source of cash and save. The next section is liabilities and indebtedness, and can be accessed by clicking on liabilities and indebtedness. Here you'll have to specify all the loans that you've taken that are running with banks, local and international. To quickly look at the form, you specify the name of the creditor, can be the name of a bank or the name of an individual, type of liability, is it a loan, mortgage, overdraft, advance, you choose. If you choose other, then you specify type of liability if other, specify the address of the creditor, the amount borrowed from the creditor, and the currency. Also indicate the date on which you borrowed that money, specify the purpose of the loan, terms of repayment, and the source of funds for repayment, and then save. Repeat for as many liabilities as you have. The next section is other incomes, and we can access other incomes by clicking on the link at the bottom. You declare your other incomes by using the add buttons, and you'd have to specify the name of the source, the type of income, which can be pension, gratuity, social security, gifts, inheritance income, insurance claim, or other. Specify the amount or price of the other income and the currency, and also specify the date it was acquired. After filling the form correctly, you should be able to save and have that other income added. The next step is confirmation, and we can go to confirmation by clicking on the link. If there are any errors in the form, the errors will be indicated on the confirmation page. You will not be able to continue until errors have been fixed. To fix an error, click on the link to go to the page with the error. For example, With investments in securities, we can see that we didn't specify anything. If we have no securities, we can mark that we have no securities and then go back to confirmation to see if we can continue. On confirmation, if there are no errors, we will see comments field where we type any comments on our declaration. We also have to click on the box for oath where we solemnly declare that the information we have given is true, complete, and correct to the best of our knowledge. So you click and make sure it's checked and then save your confirmation. After saving your confirmation, you'll be taken to the preview and submission page where you can view all the information you've just entered. You check through all the information by scrolling and reading through before you submit. You can also choose to print a copy for yourself and you use the print last chance button, which allows you to choose a printer or save to PDF. After choosing a printer or save to PDF, click save and a copy of your declaration will be printed. However, it's advised that when you print to PDF, do not leave a copy of your declaration on a public computer, as other people who are not supposed to see your declaration may see it there. When you're ready to submit your declaration, click on Submit Declaration. A submission token will be sent to your phone and you can enter it and click Save in order to submit your declaration. If your declaration has been successfully submitted, you will be redirected to your dashboard, which will indicate the message that declaration is already submitted. You will not be able to see the information you've declared until the next declaration, or by requesting that that information be provided to you by making a request to the Inspector of Government to have access to that information. Also, as an indicator for successful submission, you should have a message on your phone that's a confirmation that you've successfully declared, and also another message in your email that shows that you've successfully submitted your declaration. If you do not have that email, then you should log in and make sure that you submit your declaration. So thank you for following this video. I believe that with these few steps, you'll be able to easily declare to the Inspector of Government.